Hi, salutations. My name is Summer, and this is Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. And my cat Mayfair just got shaved today. I don't know if you can see her. But the rest of the cats are not talking to me because she smells funny, I guess. And so we'll see if anybody else comes to greet us or not. Anyway, today I would like to talk about The Great American Read. I don't know how many of you watched the show a couple years ago. It was on PBS, and it's the 100 most popular books. So it was really surprising, some of the titles on the list, because some of them I had never even heard of before. And you would think the most popular books everybody would have heard of, but not the case. Anyway, I'd like to go over 50 of them today and let you know if I've read them, if I haven't, if I own them, if I like them or not, or if I still need to read them. So, but I just want to go over 50 because 50 is a lot to begin with, and 100 is way too many, way too long of a video. So anyway, let's get started. So, and by the way, if you're interested in doing this, because I would like to read all 100 books eventually, and I'm pretty close. I mean, next year, I read over 100 books a year, so next year I could have this goal finished. But anyway, if you're interested, go to pbs.org and put in a Great American Read, 100 list, and they will print you out something like this, and it's really cool. All 100 books will be on there. So anyway, I love lists. I love goals. So anyway, the first book is, and these are in order of popularity, like which one was the #1 winner, which you guys probably already know all this. Anyway, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I own this book. I've read it. I liked it. My mom has it right now because her and my niece Sativa are going to be reading it. So I do own it. And I read Ghosts at the Watchman, the second one that she wrote. #2 was Outlander, and I have this gorgeous edition. I think it's the 20th anniversary edition. I love this whole series. I know a lot of people, especially younger people, are not liking it. So I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but I love the series. And the third book is no surprise, Harry Potter, The Chain and the Sorcerer's Stone. I mean, it's so popular. Kids love it, adults love it. I wasn't surprised at all that it made #3. I really wish they would have just had adult books on here, but no surprise, right? And the fourth book is Pride and Prejudice, Jane Austen. I love Jane Austen. I've read it. I love all of her books. I've read all of them. I just haven't read her novellas and unfinished works yet, but I hope to do that this year. #5 is the Lord of the Rings series. I think there's 5 of them. Maybe it's 4. But anyway, yeah, I read them. I read them twice, actually. I read them and then when I was younger, and then I listened to them audio from the library. And I liked them. The Hobbit is my favorite of the whole series. But I'm telling you, I got to some points where I thought, if another dwarf or elf or hobbit sings, I'm going to lose my mind. Because I'm used to reading books like Stephen King, where all the information he gives you, whether you think you need it or not, in another book, it's going to come up. Because you'll be like, I don't even know why he told me about that. And it's like, oh, in another book, it's a character. Anyway, I felt like there were no lessons. There wasn't anything hidden in those songs, and they really drove me crazy. Reading it wasn't as bad as listening. Listening to it, I couldn't just skim over it. I had to sit there and listen to them sing. So I did like the series. I'm I'm not a huge fan. I didn't love it. And I got really bored sometimes with it too. Number 6, Gone with the Wind. I do not own it. I understand why people love it. I did not get along well with the main character. She drove me crazy. My sister and mom, they love it. They went on to read other books, you know, about, Margaret Mitchell. Sorry, I should have said who the author was. I think that's the only book she ever wrote. But, in the fandom, there's like Rhett Butler's People, and I think there was one, I forget, because I'm not a fan. So, but I can get why the writing was great. I just couldn't stand Scarlett. Ashley, I wasn't a fan of either. Anyway, number 7, Charlotte's Web by E.B. White. And I got these new, here it is. Got a big stack here. I got this, I had exactly this when I was a kid. Trumpet of the Swans, Stuart Little, and Charlotte's Web. So, yeah, I haven't read, of course, I haven't read them again because they're still in this sealed. But I got this because I had this when I was a kid, and I did read them all when I was a kid. And I mean, sure, Charlotte's Web is a great story. So, but here again, I wish they didn't have young adult on the list, but that's just my own opinion. Number 8, Little Women by Louise May Alcott. This is the copy that I read because I've read this quite a bit, and I love this copy because look at that. I have a hardback edition too that's prettier than this one, but this is the one I like to read because I love to just open up a book and it stay there, which doesn't happen very often. And this is a Puffins classic, so. And then, and I love Little Women. And number 9, The Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I read some of them when I was a kid. I wasn't really a fan of it. Number 10, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I read it. I do not own it. I am not a fan. Anne Bronte is not bad. Emily Bronte we'll talk about in a little bit. But I'm just not a fan at all. Number 11 is Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. I've read, I think, 4 of them in the series, and it's a fine series. I didn't love it, and got on my nerves a lot of the time where she's just a kid, and here again, young adult. But it was it's fine. Number 12, The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. My all-time favorite book. And I have this beautiful edition with the truck. And this is the truck I had envisioned in my mind when they're traveling across the country. And yeah, I love it. My all-time favorite book. So that it made 12 on the list. Come on, people. I think a lot of people have read it. So anyway, number 13 is another favorite, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith. I own it. I love it. I've read it. I've also went last year, the year before, and got it on audio. So I've listened to it also. It's such of a sad story, but it's so good. So good. And then, what is next? The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I read this. I think I read it for a book club when it first came out, so it's been years since I read it. And it was just another story that I've read a million times, and I felt like there was nothing really special about it, It's just a story that's been told over and over and over again, and everybody acted like it was something new. Anyway, the writing was fine. It was a fine book. I didn't love it. And you know what? Maybe it's the hype too. People hype books up, and then I'm like, what is this about? Another book that is so hyped, everybody loves it. And I did not. And I refused to watch the movie because I didn't even like the book. And that is, and I have this beautiful edition, beautiful vintage edition. But the Great Gabs, I can't even say it. The Great Gatsby. It's Fitzgerald. I don't get it. I don't get what people loved about it. I thought the characters were a little obnoxious. I don't get it. Maybe you guys can tell me what is so great about this book. But look at this cover. Gosh, it's such a shame. Such a shame. That's why I still have this book. I don't like it. Did not enjoy reading it. Thank goodness it's only 140 pages. But I kept it because it's gorgeous. Okay, The Help by Catherine Stockett. I really enjoyed it. I don't own it, but I really enjoyed the book. Then I watched the movie and I laughed. I thought it was good. I thought it was a good book. The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. I know I read this when I was a kid, but I'm not counting it that I've read it because it just was so long ago. And I need to give Mark Twain a chance because I'm kind of leaning towards not liking his stuff, and I don't really know why. I have The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, so I think I'll read that one since I own it, and I got it at some library book sale before I read The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and we'll see if I like it, the writing and stuff. 1984, George Orwell. I own it. I got it at a library book sale. Still has that on there. I enjoyed this book. For me, it was nothing new. I know everybody's like, oh, but I just felt like, yeah, I've been told this my whole life. So I didn't feel like it was anything new, really. And then there were none. Agatha Christie. This is my favorite, Agatha Christie. I haven't read that many. I'd say I read maybe 6 Agatha Christie, and she has a big lineup of books. And then she wrote some light romance under another name that I can't think of right now. So, but I love this book. I love the mystery of it. I think it's a great book. So, and then Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. I'm not for sure. I haven't read it. I don't own it. So I don't even know what it's about. I've heard people talk about the title of the book, but I've never heard anybody say, "Oh, that's about blah blah blah." I don't know. And I think I confused that book with A Brave New World, which I do own, but I haven't read yet. Number 21, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. My mom loved this book, so I thought I was going to love it, but I've learned that's not always the case, and I do not like this book at all. Heathcliff, everybody's like, oh, it's not romantic, and then he abuses animals, he abuses people. He's he's one of those people that are just, he's horrible. He's horrible to everybody. And then I saw the movie and I was like, yeah, he's horrible to everybody. Why do people love this? Why do they think it's romantic? Kathy and Heathcliff, you guys can have them because I don't get it. Okay, Lonesome Dove, Larry McMurtry. I've talked about this book. All this cat hair. Talked about this book quite a bit in my beautiful edition. This is, I think, I'm going to try to put this on my TBR for August. We'll see. See if I stick to that. The Pillars of the Earth, Ken Follett, all-time favorite. I'm reading, well, I just finished the second. World Without End is the second book in this series. I love it. Absolutely love it. This is about building a cathedral, and it's just so much. There's so much in here. But the whole time it's about building a cathedral, which sounds boring, but it is not boring at all. I hope to get to the third book. My mom is reading the third book, so she's wanting to talk to me about it. So I have got to squeeze it in soon. And then I have The Stand by Stephen King. I love these editions. They are they're UK edition, and I get them from Book Depository. I want to say they're Hodder. Yeah, Hodder. Hodder. But it's a great book. I understand why a lot of people don't want to read it. I mean, I get it. Why people say it's too long. I get it, but I love it. I think it's a great book. I love most of Stephen King's stuff that I've read. I've read quite a bit. Let's see. Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I have not read this one. I'm actually almost finished with my cousin Rachel by her, and I'm enjoying it. But I've set it aside because I'm reading other stuff. A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving. I do have it. I have not read it yet. I tried John Irving. I tried another book of his. I can't tell you the name of it, but it was strange and I was not a fan. But I am going to give this a try because remember my 3-book rule. And I've only had one. I think I've only had one so far that was like, So we'll see. The Color Purple by Alice Walker. I love a lot of her books. I read The Color Purple. I thought it was great. I do not own it, and I'm not sure why I don't own it because I love the book. And the movie with Whoopi Goldberg. It's a great movie. I think Oprah might be in it. It's been a long time. Alice's Adventure in Wonderland, Lewis Carroll. I've never read it. I don't own it. I've never read it. I plan to. I'm sure I would enjoy it. Maybe. But here again, I think it's young adult. Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. I have not read that, but I have read quite a bit of Charles Dickens. And I do have this beautiful edition. It says A Tale of Two Cities, but it's also Great Expectations. So one half of the book is A Tale of Two Cities, and the other half is Great Expectations. I have read A Tale of Two Cities, but I hear Great Expectations is better. It's more popular, that's what I hear. So I definitely plan to read it. And I mean, look at this. Look at that. Isn't that just, I think it's just so beautiful. I can't remember where I got it. Probably, honestly, I have no idea. No idea. Okay, let's see. The Catcher in the Rye. I discussed this in another video. I didn't like it at all. I owned it because I got it from a library book sale. It left. It no longer resides with me. Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Ross. I love it. I actually have a t-shirt of this book. It's one that I just cry and cry. I love animals. I love dogs. I love cats. That relationship that people have with them. And a young boy, his relationship with his dogs. It's a beautiful story. And it is young adult. But I feel like it belongs. I could definitely see why it made the list. The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. I read it. I really liked it. It's funny because I didn't know S.E. Hinton was a woman. And I think she wrote The Outsiders when she was pretty young, I think. But yeah, for some reason, S.E. Hinton, I thought was a man. And of course, it's about a group of young teenagers. So she did a great job. It's a good book. I don't own it. The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown. I own it. It's somewhere. I cannot find it. My problem is I try to be organized and I have all the books I've read down here, downstairs. And then I have all the books I haven't read. I keep those upstairs. But the Da Vinci Code has gotten lost. I have every single other book, Origin, Inferno, Angels and Demons. I have, and they're spread out. It's like, why don't I need to just organize my books, just spend a day organizing. But I do have the Da Vinci Code. I love all of his books to a certain degree. I mean, most of his books I would 4-star it because, they're an exciting ride and you do learn a little bit from them. So, and then some of it's like made up, but it keeps you there on the edge of like, oh, I'm curious about this. Is this real? Or anyway, I enjoy Dan Brown. I've heard a lot of people complain about him, but I like him. I like his books. I don't know him personally. Okay, The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I didn't like it at all. I mean, at all. And I consider myself a feminist, so I expected to like it. And I just was kind of, I couldn't get through it. And it's a small book. I just was so bored and irritated with the main character. So I need to be more compassionate. But I don't plan to read it again. Maybe someday, but I doubt it. Because I think I tried it. I think I tried to read it and I just was so bored. And then I tried it on audiobook and I just was like, nope, enough of this. So, Dune by Frank Herbert. I don't own this. I'm not sure why I don't own it because I really enjoyed it. I read the second one and maybe the third one. I need to go on Goodreads and see where am I at on this series and get back on it. 36, The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. It looks French to me, so that means a lot of, I just can't. I have not read The Little Prince. I know nothing about it. It looks like a children's book. I don't know. Number 37, The Call of the Wild by Jack London. I didn't like it because whenever there's any kind of abuse, I don't like abuse. It hurts me. So, but I read it when I was a teenager and I was, 38, The Clan of the Cave Bear by Jean M. Auel. I think it's Auel. It's Auel. All. I really like this series. I didn't complete it, but I got through book 4 and then I don't know what happened. But I love The Clan of the Cave Bear. And the second one, I think the second one's called The Valley of the Horses. And I could see why, there's complications and stuff like that with what people think about it, but I really enjoyed it. And I read it when I was younger, maybe a teenager, because my mom read these. So anyway, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's another one where I have the t-shirt. Douglas Adams is one of my favorite authors. I was so upset that I found him after he had already passed, and he passed away young to me. But the first way that I read his book or his 5-book trilogy, which is hilarious enough in itself and very Douglas Adams, was through this, and it has all of them. The Hitchhiker's Guide, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. Yeah, The Restaurant at the End of the Universe, Life, the Universe, and Everything. So Long and Thanks for All the Fish, Mostly Harmless. And it was just so great. Well, then I found these certain edition, and I love the blue pages. And Pan. Pan's the one that makes these editions mostly harmless, pointing to Earth. I'm telling you, his sense of humor. I love Douglas Adams. I think this is the one. No, my favorite one is in the other room. But yeah, look at these editions. They're just gorgeous. I want to get all of. I have 3 of them in this edition. I want to get the other 2. Okay, and it's so funny. I mean, laugh out loud funny. Number 40 is The Hunger Games. I really like The Hunger Games. I read through them really fast. They kept my attention. I was wanting to know what was going to happen, who was going to get killed, and all that. And I actually bought the new one. I want to say Snakes and Ladders. That's like an Indian book I have. The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I haven't read it yet. I've heard a lot of people disappointed in it, but I'm not listening to them because I feel like I want to find out about President Snow. Even in the series, The Hunger Games, President Snow was like, what is going on with him? Like, why is he this way? So I'm looking forward to it. 41, The Count of Monte Cristo. I have not read this, and I want to. Everybody on BookTube has been talking about this book. I do not own it, and I have not read it, but I want to. And I might actually have it on my Kindle. I think I might have got it for $1.99 a long time ago, and I am not good at reading on my Kindle at all. I actually forget that I have books on there. Number 42 is The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. I have it. I read it. I enjoy a lot of Amy Tan's books. And I'm pretty sure that she was in Stephen King's band at some point, which is just super cool. But yeah, this is a story. I want to say this. I've read so many of her books, but I'm pretty sure this one is about mother and daughter relationship. Pretty sure. But I think a lot of her books are about mother and daughter relationship in the culture after, moving to the United States. And anyway, number 43 is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I read this. I was disappointed in it. I don't own it anymore. And so I could talk more about it, but if you love it, you love it. If you don't, you don't. I just thought it was so sad and how he was so lonely and everybody saw him as a monster, and which made him a monster. And anyway, super sad, depressing. Number 44, The Giver by Lois Lowry. I've read it. I don't own it, but I own Messenger, which is the second book, and I haven't read this yet. But I didn't know this is a companion to The Giver. I didn't even know about this, and I'm thinking it might even be a trilogy or just a whole series. But yeah, there's a second book to it, a companion novel. Memoirs of a Geisha. I have not read it. I own it, but I could not find it for this video. It's in a stack somewhere up there. 46, Moby Dick by Herman Melville. I do not own it, and I have not read it, but I'd like to read it. I think there's some pretty great lines that in quotes I've heard people say that's in the book that it sounds good to me. Number 47 is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. I own it. I've read it. It was very funny. Sometimes to the extreme where it's like, okay, I know that was supposed to be really funny. But it's just so, I don't want to say sarcastic. Sarcastic isn't the right word. But the ridiculousness is so obvious. But it's really how people are. So it was good. I enjoyed it. Let's see. Number 48, Game of Thrones series by George R.R. Martin. I love it. I have these little editions and then I have bigger editions. Um, I just think it's absolutely fantastic. On the edge of my seat. I love how he writes because each chapter is titled who you're going to be reading, whose perspective you're going to be reading about. So, like, I don't think they're listed as chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. Okay, here's an example. Bran. So you know this chapter that you're reading. You don't know what chapter it is, but you know it's going to be about Bran or Daenerys or Arya. And I love it. My favorite character in this book gets killed off in this book. I was so upset because I'm like, oh, he's my favorite. And it's like, oh, he's dead. And they don't kill him to the end. And it's like, how could you do this to me? And who am I going to like in the second one? And of course, I love somebody in the second one and the third. And it just continues on. Okay. 49 Foundation series by Isaac Asimov. Asimov. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. And I have no idea what the Foundation series, or it's just Foundation series is. I have no idea. I haven't even heard about it. And then number 50, the last one I'm talking about today, because there's just so many and I'm surrounded by books, is a book that I started to read. I'll tell you exactly how far I got. 288 out of, well, not counting the afterword or the appendix. (1,358), and that's War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I've heard people say Lev Tolstoy, which I think that's the Russian pronunciation, Lev instead of Leo. But, and I'm thinking, this is just me and my craziness. I'm thinking I want to get a different edition when I go to read it next time. And I've even thought about maybe getting the audio and following along with it. I'm going to have to write notes. There's no way around it because the names, I kept forgetting who was who, and there would be 3 names for one person, and it would be, okay, so if someone's name was Christine, and then later you hear them called Chrissy or Chris, you know who that person is. But these names in here do not sound anything like, I was just so confused. I didn't know who they were talking about or what was going on. I don't know much about the war that was going on at the time. I just am going to have to do a lot of research. I want to conquer, it feels like this is, I want to conquer this book at some point. And I have my page marked, but like I said, I think I want to get a different translation. And of course, I'm going to have to start over because I don't remember. But I bought it because I thought it had a beautiful cover. So anyway, we will see. That is the number one most popular, that is the 50 most popular books on the Great American Reads. I plan to do another video that goes through 51 to 100, and we'll see how that video goes because it's been a long day. Anyway, I'd love to know what books of these that you have read, if you are following, if you have the list also and you're trying to read as many of these off the list, if you have other lists, if you have other lists that you are following, let me know because I'm all about lists of books. So Anyway, yeah, that'll be all for today. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.